Hello, you guys. How are you all? Thank you guys for being here and happy Friday. So, today we're going to talk about some major updates in Kata Scott's case, the case against Keon King. There is a lot of information that's came out. It's pretty shocking, but we know a lot more. We know what happened to Kata, or what medical examiners say they believe happened to Kata. We know about some texting between the two of them before she went missing. There's a lot I want to talk about. We know about potential others that helped, and this has been talked about as a possibility. If you guys missed my last video, some of okay, sorry, I pulled out my mic cord and I'm not going to touch it so it doesn't make a noise. I got to remember that. But if you missed my last video, some of Keon's friends have came out and they have talked about some of the things he was saying about Kata in the days leading up to her disappearance. And one of them refused to go to police. And, there's been talk about people helping. Now we know that people did. We don't know who, but I just think that it's interesting. So I want to run through this stuff with you guys really fast. I think it's important updates, though, if you've been following along. Hey, Pointer Lover. Hey, Nicole. Hey, Elle. Hey, Jay. Hey, Tess. And Melissa, I saw. And Tracy, Sarah, Andy, Hoodie, and a Crowbar. Good to see you guys. Hey, Punksy. All right, so let's get right into it because there is a lot I want to show you. So let me start with I'm going to start with some screenshots I took of an article from local news, and then we'll go to this same news agency's YouTube videos because they didn't release everything at once. They wanted the family to be aware of what happened to her first, so it kind of came out slowly, and I'm going to walk you through those videos. All right, so suspect charged with murder finally in the death of Philadelphia woman Kata Scott. The man arrested in connection with the disappearance of Philadelphia woman Kata Scott has now been charged with her murder. The DA said Wednesday it has approved charges of not only murder, but also robbery, theft, abuse of a corpse, tampering with evidence, and other offenses against 21-year-old Keon King. 21 years old. And he's already assaulted multiple women, been charged with kidnapping multiple women. 21 years old. Pretty crazy. The charges came after the medical examiner's office said Scott died by homicide. It was not immediately known how she was killed. We will continue to pursue justice for Miss Scott, for her family, and all victims of crimes, the deputy commissioner said in a social media post. He was previously charged with her kidnapping, other offenses, and was already being held on a $2.5 million bond. So police say phone data and video suspects. Now, you guys listen to this. This is where it gets quite interesting. So King's alleged criminal conspiracy began just before midnight on October 3rd. He stole the Hyundai Accent. This is the day before she goes missing. He stole a Hyundai Accent left unattended and running by a food delivery worker. Never leave your car unattended and running. Let me tell you, never. Because I've heard of that even in my hometown. It was happening a lot in my hometown. Investigators say he then used that stolen car to meet up with Scott the following night. Charging documents say Scott and King made plans to meet up, with the final text exchange between the two being, "Call me when you hear." There he is, and also here he is peeking through the window of his last victim before he kidnapped her, the day he kidnapped her. He came to her house, and then he waited for her to come out later that day. But let me get back to her thing. So they made plans to meet up, and their final text say, "Call me when you're here." 6 minutes later, at 10:15, investigators say the two appeared to be together near Scott's place of employment based on cell phone data. It would be the last time Scott was seen alive because at 10:24, her phone goes offline just within 9 minutes. At 10:28, The Hyundai Accent parks at the recreation center, and the car stays there for 2 days, for more than 2 days. Using cell phone technology, investigators tracked King to a house on the 5500 block of Belmar Terrace. A search of this house turned up. Now, this is where the other people come in, okay? Or they start to come in. A search of the house turned up contractor bags, a hammer, and ammunition, among other items. 2 women who lived there were detained and interviewed, but they were released, and Keon wasn't there at the time. The criminal complaint says his cell phone was tracked taking multiple trips between the house and the middle school where Kata was eventually found. So he was going back and forth to the scene. He does have a small child who was rumored to be in the car when he did the last kidnapping. At 11:39 p.m. on October 5th, court records say his Camry was caught on surveillance parking at the recreation center next door to where her body was found. It says 2 people exited the vehicle, and 4 hours later, 2 individuals appeared to take a large object consistent with a body out of the passenger side. Now, there's a bee near me. I'm sorry, you guys. Action News has reached out to Keon's attorney, and they have not responded. So where are the charges for this person? Who the hell is it, and why has no one been charged? That's what I want to know. Oh my gosh. Do y'all hear that buzzing, like the bee that keeps flying over here, or whatever it is? I hope not, because it's distracting, and I just don't want y'all to have to deal with that. But the window video is scary as hell. Dude would have seen the busy end of a barrel doing that to me. J13 death. I know, this poor girl. Well, what was she expecting? Because we're going to get into some more. I don't know what you guys are going to think about this. So now we're going to talk about texts that are part of the investigation that are being reported on everywhere. Police have commented on. So one particular text that's now part of the investigation was sent at 10:07 a.m. on October 4th, the day she disappeared, okay? 12 hours before she disappeared. In the text, she texted him, "Kidnap me again," to a number that police have linked to King. He responds, "Better be up too," which was followed by plans to meet later that night. That's why the thumbnail says that, because that literally is part of the case at this point. And it just makes you wonder, like, of course, she would probably never expect him to do what he actually did, right? But maybe just like playful, I don't know, like foreplay. I know that just is hard to even think about, but what do you guys think about that? Okay, good. Thank you, guys. Kidnap me again. It has to be something like that. There's really no other explanation. But I'm very curious what you guys think. I think it was a playful statement from her. Yeah, me too. So what? Had he pretended to do it before and just like... Now remember, he's known as the local pharmacist, as his friend calls him. You know, he's very flashy. He's sharing photos with lots of money and in the studio because he's rapping, and he's the local weed dealer. I know that. That's strange. Are we sure she was the only person who had her phone at that time? I would imagine so, that she would have been home, and she would have been at home. Detectives tell Action News they are still trying to determine the relationships between King and Scott and how they initially met. Police say there's no report or indication there was a previous incident involving the two, which, like I said, I don't believe that there was. I think this was like a playful, flirty thing. Come and take me out again. Interesting, Pointer Lover. I didn't even think about that. I don't know why. Am I like a pervert? My mind immediately went to like maybe some kind of foreplay or something. We're talking about adults here. So really, it's not going to be like out the realm of possibility. But that probably makes more sense. Like, hey, just come take me. Let's go out. Come pick me up. Or from work. Like, because she was working. This was in the middle of her shift. F this crap. I'm staying single forever. I can see it playfully. I've had friends say, I'm going to kidnap you. And that's true. Yeah. I'm going to come kidnap you and take you out for the day. How sad, and then here he is charged with her murder. Yes, a street pharmacist. Sarah, I guess maybe you didn't see the video that I posted of like the friend that said that, but if we have time, we'll watch it. So, because I have to go pick up the kids in about 40 minutes. All right, so let me read through this so I can show you guys the videos and we can get to that. But yeah, so we do know King was charged with a different kidnapping back in January, and part of that incident involving another woman was shown in a viral video. The DA's office dropped the charges after the victim and a witness didn't show up to court, even though there was video evidence. And then the DA went on to blame things like, when you're waking up a judge in the middle of the night, you have to be strategic. You don't know. They might do the opposite of what you want if you wake them up, and things like that. It was real bizarre. So that's okay. Yeah, that's the last part. Now, medical examiner says after all this came out with the text message and the murder charge, little bit of time goes by, and then we hear medical examiner says she likely died by gunshot wound to the head. So I'm going to play 2 videos from the local news that walk through those 2 things. It really is all about the intent behind the words. His was definitely creepy.
O'clock, the Philadelphia medical examiner has now ruled Kata Scott's death a homicide. That laid word from police this afternoon, who now say they're recommending murder charges against Keon King, the man already charged in her disappearance. All this happening just hours after new court documents reveal details about phone calls and text messages between King and Scott on the very day she went missing. It is Wednesday afternoon. I'm Brian Taft.
And I'm Sarah Bloomquist. The big story on Action News is the major development in the Kata Scott death investigation. While we now know her death has been ruled a homicide,
it's a murder
we still don't know
investigation
exactly
now.
how she died.
Action News reporter Chad Padelli live at East Mount Airy with all the developments today. Quite a busy day, Chad.
All right, Chad, tell us about it.
Like you said, the Philadelphia Police Department announced just a few moments ago that the medical examiner had ruled that Kata Scott's death was a homicide. It was announced on Twitter by Deputy Commissioner Frank Venor. Now, I do know how Kata Scott was murdered. We're not releasing that information, making sure that the family has been notified. But police department is recommending.
Which, good on them. Hold on, let me just take a moment to say, good on them. It's not often in this true crime world, especially if you are creating content, you see really how dirty and grimy and just nasty and dishonest like people can be on all ends, and how selfish people can be, and how they really, so many of these people truly just care about themselves and what they can get and how they can get ahead. Like, I think it means something to see this. They didn't release it until the family was notified. Do you know how many cases we've talked about where family was notified from Facebook or news reports and things, and how like crushing that was to them? Like, I really appreciate that. So I just wanted to say that. Hell, these people, I get really frustrated. It's like I don't know. It's a weird thing I do. I'm constantly evaluating true crime, what it means to even talk about these cases and broadcast about these people, like about their lives and the worst moments of their lives. And then you see other people that do it, and I'm constantly kind of analyzing that too. Are you putting the time and effort into actually knowing what you're talking about? Does it mean something to you? Or is it just some like, a way to make money? Which, if that's the case, do something else. Dear God, just go talk about something else. There's all kinds of shit you can talk about. But yeah, so I just wanted to say
file those murder charges, and just a few of the new details we're learning about the disappearance and murder of Kata Scott. Keon King's alleged criminal conspiracy began just before midnight on October 3rd, when court records say he stole a Hyundai Accent left unattended and running by
I
a food
hate the
delivery
look on his
worker
face.
on the
I
66
just want
Honda
to
block
punch
of
him right in the
Sprague.
fucking nose.
Investigators
Excuse my
say he'd
language.
used that
Probably not
stolen car
professional.
to meet up with Kata Scott the following night. Charging documents say Scott and King made plans to meet up, with the final exchange between the two being, quote, CM when you hear. 6 minutes later, at 10:15 p.m., investigators say the two appeared to be together near Scott's place of employment, based on cell phone data. It'd be the last time Scott would
What
be
a
seen
beautiful
alive.
girl,
At
man.
10:24 p.m., Kata Scott's phone goes.
Look at her. Going, she's working to pay for school. She had, like, so young, 23 years old, her entire life ahead of her. You know, I remember being that age and the possibilities of what you can do with your life, and one day having children and getting married, and it's just, oh, I can't stand this dude already.
Offline. 4 minutes later, the Hyundai Accent parks at the Arboretum, and the vehicle remains there. Using cell phone technology, investigators tracked King to this house on the 5500 block of Belmar Terrace. A search of the house turned up contractor bags, a hammer, and ammunition, among other items, according to the complaint.
Hammer.
Two women.
Contractor bags, a hammer, and ammunition. Now, we're going to learn in a moment that it was likely a gunshot wound. What's the other stuff about? The bags I can understand, but the hammer...
Who lived there were detained and interviewed but released. King was not at the house. The criminal complaint says King's cell phone was tracked taking multiple trips between the Belmar Terrace home and the area where Scott's body was found. At 11:39 p.m. on October 5th, court records say King's registered Toyota Camry was caught on surveillance returning and parking at the recreation center next door.
No. This is where they're going to talk about the footage, I believe, of the other person. But I just want to say, J13, you're so right. You do think you're indestructible at that age. You're kind of fearless. You don't realize, like, might not necessarily see danger when it's approaching. You know what I mean? Hey, Jonesy. Okay.
To where Scott's body was found.
Johnson
It
was
says
live
two
earlier.
people exited the vehicle, and 4 hours later, two individuals appeared to take a large object consistent with the body out of the Hyundai Accent. And so far, King is charged with kidnapping, theft, arson, and...
Okay, now, you dumbass. Thank God people like you are so damn stupid. Like Stephen Stearns. Literally on camera moving a body. Thank God you're such a dumbass. I don't know what people think in this day and age that you can get away with stuff like this. There are cameras everywhere. I've said before, I literally live so far out in the country. There's no DoorDash. There's no Uber Eats. You can't get a pizza delivery. Okay. You can't get groceries delivered. Nothing. Literally 45 minutes from Walmart and an hour from Target. And I guarantee you that I could drive down the country roads, which there's a lot of fields and stuff, but each house I passed, most of them have cameras. It's just part of the modern world we live in. But let's go to the next video because I want to show you guys the Friends if you haven't seen.
Examiners released the exact cause of death for a Philadelphia woman who first went missing back on October 4th. Authorities say 23-year-old Kata Scott was killed by a gunshot wound to the head. Her body was found 2 weeks after she who first went missing back on October 4th. Authorities say 23-year-old Kata Scott was killed by a gunshot wound to the head. Her body was found 2 weeks after she vanished in a shallow grave behind the vacant Ada Lewis Middle School. The 21-year-old suspect taken into custody now faces murder charges.
I'm curious why. What happened that night? How did this go from... Because he obviously had some sort of obsession with her. I'm going to show you guys now the video from his friends that's on my channel. And also I find it interesting, a gunshot wound, because even like this woman, she is a hold on, let me play it.
He strangled Kata Scott, and here's why. I'm a forensic scientist. I think that Keon King likely strangled Kata Scott, and here's why. I'm a forensic scientist and former CSI, and if you missed it, police in Philadelphia found the remains of 23-year-old missing woman Kata Scott.
So forensic scientists see it and whatever she said, you heard her. But this was the theory that I kind of was, and maybe just because I've had seen this video. But yeah, okay, so let's go over to my channel. Now, I've wanted to talk to you guys about this for like a week. I fell down this rabbit hole on TikTok of all the locals talking about these people that we're going to hear from in this video. And I'll kind of explain along the way, because I think if you're just watching it, you might not understand exactly everything that's going on. So, okay, let's go over. These are Keon King's friends. Now, they came forward on TikTok. One was mad that the other wouldn't refuse to go to police, and literally said that police didn't want the information she had, which was that Keon had been asking her about Kata and like asking all these questions. There is no way police would not want to know that if that happened right before Kata goes missing. Joneson said, I leave my car running unattended all the time. I won't anymore. Sheesh, girl, do not. Like my ex-husband, he was a heathen, him and his friends when they were kids, and they took cars, like running, and as young teenagers. So, and then, like, yeah, criminals do it too. Or people that are older and trying to get away from crimes they've committed will do that as well. She was such a beautiful girl and had so much potential. You're so right. Okay, so let's look at this. Let me show y'all this. I'm curious, I want to see the person that helped. I want to see them charged. Bring it on, because this is bullshit. A couple of his friends, Gabby and Dee, have came forward with some of the things he was saying and doing around the time of her disappearance. I hate hearing my voice, but fun fact, I recorded this at like 2:30 in the morning outside on my AirPods and my phone. But.
Hi, my name is Gabby, and I'm going to...
Okay, so first we're going to hear from Gabby, okay? Now, again, here's the picture, and there's videos of them all hanging out, Gabby, Dee, and Keon. This is Gabby. This is Dee. We're going to hear from Gabby first, and then Dee is going to talk about it, and they've been on Instagram Live. There's a lot more than just this they've said about this. This is just the most important parts that I think we really need to know about. So, some of the things he was saying and doing around the time of her disappearance. Hey, Gavelkey.
Hi, my name is Gabby, and I'm going to be discussing some of the misinformations that are going around in the internet regarding me and the Kata Scott situation.
Okay,
so
girl,
if you are unaware, Kata Scott is a girl that went missing in Philadelphia on October 4th.
First, if you ever see this, which you might never, but you might, because this video weirdly had like 200 views. Like a small unknown case will be like that sometimes on little pre-recorded short videos. Won't get much views. And then all of a sudden it went up to 1.5 thousand. And I thought, has it been shared somewhere? And I've had a lot of locals that have commented on my channel and on my coverage of this. And I just want to say, like, if you do ever see this, girl, what are you doing? Like, there is no reason to hang out with people like Keon King, with the local pharmacist. Do not throw your life away. You are young and beautiful. Do not do it. Stay the hell away from those kind of people. Surround yourself with people who are working and going to school and trying to better themselves. She's in school. She talks about it. Stay the hell away from that kind of trash. All it's going to do is bring you down, and I just can't understand why these beautiful young girls have any business hanging out with a guy like that.
So I did know Keon. He was my friend. I met him about 4 or 5 years ago, and he was also the local pharmacist. Now, me and my best friend, we were also mutual friends with Keon. He was our pharmacist. So one day Keon calls me, and keep in mind, I am in school, I am in Maryland, and he will usually just call me, just to check up and talk. So He calls me and he asks me if I know Kata. And I'm like, yeah, like, I know Kata. And he's like, oh, yeah, I noticed that she lives really close to you. I'm like, yeah, like, she lived right in the back of me. And I'm not thinking nothing of it.
She lives right in the back of me. We'll hear more from Bree about what he asked about Kata. You think police wouldn't want to know that? Surround yourself with quality people. Dude, that is the best advice. I truly wish I would have done better about that when I was younger, because I was around a lot of people that showed me a world I would have never known. I was running around with the dealers and dating the dealers and hanging out at the trap houses, and God, you guys just really wouldn't believe it if I even told you some of the things that I saw and witnessed in my days using. But yeah, I just hate to see young girls going down any kind of road like that.
Because he usually calls me and, you know, we just be chatting. He'll call me about, like, you know, the people that be around, because he is the pharmacist. I live in the neighborhood and he be in my neighborhood. So we hang up the phone and that was that. We were only on the phone for 29 seconds. So you can see that this is the day that he called me, and this was before Kata went missing.
This is outgoing
and we were only on the
call,
phone for
which is
29
weird.
seconds. Also, I know that his name says Elliot in my phone. That's just what we
This is the day he called you, but it literally says outgoing call right there.
call him. So a couple of days after that, my best friend calls me, and, you know,
And these aren't my words on the screen, like the white text in the comments. That's someone replying to a comment. And this is a person who recorded this girl's video because she took down her video.
we're just talking about life. And I mentioned to her how Keon brought up Kata to me. I'm not thinking nothing of it. I'm like, oh yeah, like, he was probably trying to flirt with her. He's probably trying to get at her. Mind you, me and my best friend, we know Kata because we grew up with her little sister. Now, we didn't know Kata personally because, again, we grew up with her little sister. We were around 12, 11 years old. Kata, she was much older than us, so we didn't really talk to her. So my best friend was like, oh yeah, like, he probably thought she was cute, and that was that. So right here is the day that I called my best friend and told her that, you know, Keon was trying to get at Kata. This is before she went missing. So a couple days, maybe a week after that,
It's like
it
the
is
receipts
reported
don't really match up with. I don't know.
on October 4th that Kata is missing.
Okay.
So keep in mind, I am in Maryland, so I'm not really into all the Philadelphia news that be going on. So I'm not knowing that Kata is missing until my best friend sends me a text and says that Kata is missing. So this is the day that my best friend tells me that Kata is missing, on October 9th. So I'm in my friend's dorm and I call Keon, and it's a lot of music and a lot going on in the background. So I go somewhere that's quiet and I tell him, Keon, Kata is missing. Like, that girl, she's missing. So he was like, what? And then after that, the phone just hung up. So here you can see that I called Keon and we were on the phone for 2 minutes.
I did like hear someone talking about this, and they're like, if all she said was, hey, Keon, that girl's missing, Kata's missing, and he's like, what? And he hangs up, like, that's like 15 seconds. That's nowhere near 2 minutes, which is interesting. But
so you have to keep in mind, this was my friend, okay? I did not think that he could be capable of anything like this. In my head, I'm just thinking, there's no way in the world he could have did something like this. There's no way in the world. So then a couple of days after that, my mom sends me a screenshot of Keon turning himself in for the kidnapping of Kata. So this is my mom sending me the article, and she was distraught, to say the least. And I know she said that he was a random person, but she says this about all my friends.
Aww.
So me and my best friend, we get on the phone and we're talking about the situation. We're just saying how this is just crazy. This is the call of me and her talking about it. Now, this is all happening around the time that I'm taking my midterms. So I'm really just trying to keep my head on the books. And I wasn't really trying to let this stress
Keep
me
your
out.
head
So
in the
I
books,
kind
girl,
of just
and away from
let
people
it go.
like
You know,
Keon
he turned
King's
himself
ass. Hey,
in.
Kimberly.
It's not really much to say or do anymore. So a couple days after that, me and my best friend get on the phone, and we're basically just, you know, talking about the Kata situation.
Okay, before we go any further, I just want to say, Kimberly, you didn't miss too much, but for anybody who does has came in late and doesn't rewind, just hang out with us where we're at. You can watch later, or I can just tell you. They have released her cause of death, which was a gunshot wound. He's been charged with her murder. And they've also released that there were some text messages on the day that she disappeared where she was telling him, hey, kidnap me again. And he was saying, you better be there. I forget exactly what he said, but some text messages of them and her saying that. And we were discussing what she likely meant by that, which was probably like a playful, definitely, certainly not what actually happened. And now we're going over the friend statements. Oh, also, there was his phone and car led them to a house where they recovered carpenter trash bags, a hammer, and something with the gun, right? I can't remember the other thing. You might have to rewind to get the facts. My memory is terrible. But there were 2 women at that home, and they did detain those women and talk to them, but they were released. However, he was on footage taking Kata to her final resting place, and that footage shows someone helping him. There was another person who helped him carry a large object. So those are the new details. And now we're just listening to his friends.
And she says that she thinks that I should call the cops. So she was basically saying that she thinks that I should call the cops and tell them that Keon was, asking about Kata. Now, at the time in my head, I'm thinking that there was no reason to call the cops. He already turned himself in, and I felt like it would be kind of a waste of time to tell them that the guy that they already have in custody, called me and was
A waste of time.
asking about the girl.
You think it would be a waste of time to call the police and tell them the man they have in custody for kidnapping a girl who's been murdered or may have still been missing at this time? Huh? I hear that, and my first thought is, you cannot be that dense. My second thought is, she's very young. She probably is naive. I hope. I don't know. And also, there's culture. A lot of people are taught not to call police, and she's going to talk about that more in a moment. But is it a combination of being naive and young and truly believing there's no point, they wouldn't want this, while also being taught your whole life not to just call the cops and snitch on anyone? I don't know. I think that's what it is. But it does bother me because she later comes and says the cops said they wouldn't have needed that. It wouldn't and I'm like, I don't think so. They want every last detail, babe. That's the way it works. Every last detail. Think about Stephen Stearns. Think about the interviews with the roommates, the teachers, the kids at school, like everything, even things that weren't directly connected to what happened on that specific day. All the details leading up matter as well.
And me personally, I'm not a cop caller. Like I don't call the cops. That's just the way that I grew up. That's what I was around. They will always tell me, you don't call the cops.
No, thank you.
So
MK.
I just felt like, the information that I had and the fact that, I'm just not really a cop caller, it wouldn't make sense for me to call the cops. So then my best friend tells me, well, if you won't call the cops and tell them, then I will. And then she basically tells me that she doesn't want to be friends with me anymore because I won't call the cops. And I told her, that's completely fine. I just don't want any involvement. So then we hung up the phone, and then I believe...
So her best friend was like, oh, hell no, which I appreciate. But I just want to say, and I don't think anything will happen. Well, I will. First of all, their entire community has kind of turned on these girls. They are being treated like Dylan and Bethany. We don't know. They could be not related at all. They could be 2 completely different women. It could be someone else that helped him that night. We don't know. For me, I personally will choose grace always when we don't know and wait and see, especially though when it's someone young like this. I think that it's really irresponsible to just go out and blame them for having something to do with her murder. Now, saying, dude, you should have called police and stay away from trash like that, I think is fine. That's just the facts. Unfortunately, this is the way it's shaken out. But I don't want to jump to conclusions. Yeah.
She called me again with the police on the other line.
and I'm not going to do it.
You can see, I told her, you know, I'm sorry, I'm not talking to the cops, and yeah.
Look, cops? What cops? She says, the cops. Who? The cops. Cops? What cops? I'm not talking to the cops, in all caps. Bro, a girl is missing and dead. What the fuck do you mean? We grew up with her sister. The fuck? Bitch, what? And the girl responds, nope, nope, nope. I'm sorry. I'm not talking to the cops. Well, that's cool. They got your number. So her friend was like, I don't care if you want to or not. They're going to know about this. Too damn bad. And thank God for that. Good on you, friend. And look, Gabby is the one who put out these texts. So she's the one showing what she had to say. Nope, nope, nope. I'm sorry. I'm not talking to the cops. Come on, man. A girl is missing and dead. What the F do you mean? We grew up with her sister. Bitch, what? Is what her friend says. I mean, I'm sorry, but I feel every single word like, yes, good. Thank God. Well, that's cool. They got your number. Crazy.
Now, I can't see how this could be cruel, and I do take accountability for that.
Yeah.
So then
I can see how this would be cruel, and I do take accountability for that.
a couple of days later after that, I get sent a link on Instagram, and the link was basically my best friend going live, just talking about the situation, saying how I was weird for not going to the cops, and people in the comments were just coming up with their own narratives about this.
So her friend started going live, and like I said, she has been on Instagram, and then people are coming up with their narratives. Like she said, they're getting blamed. Elle says, I think it has to be concerning to call the police when you're a person of color. I don't know if she has other reasons to avoid calling. And then Gavel says, I assume it's a hard choice when you're afraid to deal with LE. I agree. And it's part of the culture, like I said, you know, in the city and just really everywhere, like even in the country. You know, being a snitch is not a good thing. But I'm glad that, and she's so young. I don't think she's mature enough really to understand. Her brain isn't fully developed. Thank God her friend was like, no, hell no. But yeah, this has caused, like I said, Dylan and Bethany is a great example of like how she's being treated. People are just assuming and spreading that she's involved. Yeah, and I don't think that. I think that's irresponsible. I'm not going to do that, like I said, and I really hope that nobody who watches me would ever go and do that. It doesn't automatically equal guilt. Absolutely.
Story, and it just got way out of hand, and it just spiraled.
Yes, she did.
So you can see somebody sent me the link of the live, and still to this day, I have not watched the full entire live. Then people just started
she's live
asking,
on TikTok
who's
too.
Gabby? What's the connection? And she told people that I was in Maryland for school, and it was just a whole entire thing. So of course, I was angry and I was confused because what is going on? So I text her. I tell her that that was weird, and yeah.
This is so weird.
Then I started.
It's real life giving you some clout off this situation or something. Then you keep saying my name, dog. This is mad weird. This is weird as shit, bro. You slimed out for that. 100 people on that live, bro. What the F? Everybody saying you scat for that. That's some weird ass shit, bro. You was supposed to be my homie, putting my name all on the internet. I literally told you I don't want.
Seeing posts of people saying that they think that I set Kata up, and that why wouldn't I go to the cops, and that I was just suspicious and all of this stuff. And this was never the case. So I do end up contacting the authorities after I seen people just making up crazy stuff about me and the situation. They cut me off. They tell me that they already know what's going on, that they have a close eye on the social media. And they also tell me that my friend did come forth with the information, and they told her that there was nothing that they can do, that the information that she brought them was useless information because they already had Keon in custody, and it was just nothing for them to do with this information.
This is the part where I'm like, oh, please stop. I don't know. I don't see this being a cop saying this. You guys tell me. Gavel Geeks, listen closely to this part. So she finally talks to police and she says, this is what they say. Now, the information was, again, days before Kata went missing, right before, he was asking her, do you know Kata? Where does she live? Questions about her. What is she like? Bree will tell us more about that in a second. She'll tell her view of it. The friend that ended up going live and ended up going to police. I have a clip of her talking about it, but this part just doesn't make sense to me.
Tell me that my friend did come forth with the information, and they told her that there was nothing that they can do, that the information that she bought them was useless information because they already had Keon in custody, and it was just nothing for them to do with this information. They told me to contact them only if I had anything that could lead to finding Kata, because that is their main priority.
It just doesn't
Now, I
make
do believe
sense.
that the person in the live was just kind of taking what I told her and running with it and just spicing it up to make it seem like something that it wasn't for, I don't know, maybe views. People were saying that, she was walking around and showing what stores Kata would go to, where she would walk her dog, and just stuff like that. I also had one of our mutual friends come to me, and he told me that she told him that we knew Kata our whole lives and we grew up with her, which wasn't the case because we grew up with her little sister. Now, I do think that the person in the live was taking what I told them and kind of just running with it and spicing it up to make it seem like it was way bigger than what it was. And
just 2 quick videos
after that. I had a
that.
mutual friend that came to me and said that she came to them and told them that we knew Kata our whole life and that we grew up with Kata, when that wasn't the case. We grew up with her little sister. My prayers go out to Kata and her family, and I hope that she can make a safe return home.
Okay, now.
So people are saying that I felt as though I couldn't go to the authorities about the situation.
This is Gabby further explaining the going to the cops, just real quick.
Because they had already locked him up. Now, I did eventually go to the authorities about the information, and they told me that the information that I bought them was useless, that they couldn't use the information because it wouldn't help to lead finding Kata, and also because he was already in police custody, so there was nothing that they could do with my information. They also told me that days before, my friend did come in with the information, and they told her the exact same thing, that they cannot do anything with the information due to the fact that he is already in police custody, and that this information would not lead to finding Kata.
I feel like the information, though, is an important part of building a case against Keon. Do me a favor, though, if you don't mind, Pointer Lover, will you click on Gavel Geeks and share her link? And let me share Jones in again. I know that Gavel Geeks has done a ton of research in the Summer Wells case. Joneson was live earlier, and then Melissa is doing some more tonight on that girl who faked the pregnancy. So, and Amber's on tonight too. Let me share hers. She's going to be talking about the hidden true crime stuff and some Idaho updates. And thank you, Pointer Lover, so much. Okay, here we go. Now, this is Bree. This is the other friend, the one that went to police. I just ended the video with this. I think we need to hear from her. Okay.
Kata and my friend live on the same block, so that's how he probably started witnessing her or seeing her. And he began to ask my best friend questions about her. But I ended up finding out before he, did what he did to Kata, he actually called my best friend and he asked her, where was Kata located? Where's her house? What do you know about her? Is she a cool girl?
Where is she located? Where is her house? What do you know about her?
She have a boyfriend. He asked her all types of stuff like that about Kata before he kidnapped her. And then once it was discovered that he did, he called my best friend and told her, don't tell anybody
Told her, don't tell
about what he
anybody.
asked.
What he asked. So, anyways, very interesting, all these developments. Again, I personally don't think that, like Gabby, for instance, I don't think she's involved. She's in school. I think she just made a poor decision, and she should choose better friends than Keon King. Because, yeah. It's very interesting, though, the updates. If you missed it and you came in late, he's finally been charged with murder. She was shot. Gunshot wound to the head was the cause of death. They have released that. There is footage of him carrying her body. There's, a lot of cell phone evidence showing his location, not only when she goes missing, but during the time of her being missing until she's found or until he's arrested. And in the text messages, of her saying, they kidnapped me again, which, again, I do not believe means what it ended up meaning, what kidnapping actually means. I think it was a playful statement. It's just eerie and sad. And it also makes you wonder, did he plan this? I want to know, was this in his mind when she sent that text? Did that give him an idea? I don't know. But I'm going to follow it all the way. Like I said, I don't care if there's 10 people in here. I did think about going over the hidden true crime documents, but this is really important to me. And every update we're going to talk about, maybe I'll do that over the weekend, maybe not. I don't know. But thank you guys for being here. I really appreciate it. And I'll be posting if I have a football game tonight. If there's any more updates, I'll just make a community post. If it's too much that needs to be talked through, maybe I'll make a short video. So make sure you're watching for it. A whole generation of future professionals who refuse to work with police is quite disturbing, Seven says. Thank you, J13. Poor girl, how terrifying it is. Let's see. Pixie, good to see you. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate all you guys. I really do. All right, I'm gonna go get my youngin. So you guys have a good day. Hopefully you have a good weekend, and I'll see you this weekend at some point. I don't know when, but at some point. All right, bye.